Hello, and welcome to Cinema Crusaders, that show where we look at movies that are 10 years old or older, or in this case, we look at things that are technically in there on a technicality because it was made over 10 years ago, but this particular release is fairly recent, even though it was at a Cannes Film Festival in 2006.
Right.
So I
Well,
am your host. Yeah.
we do get that technicality, though. I think that's a valid technicality.
I think so too, which is why, yeah, and which is why I agreed to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am your host, Steve, and my code name for the deadly fight for assassination squad is Shavewing, and I am here, Mike, code name Macabre, Mike Nutley,
Yeah, baby.
and
How's it
we
going?
are talking about my favorite Tarantino film of all time, Beale Bill. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on it?
I really like it. We could get into the changes a little bit later, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess just as a movie, this is of the Tarantino movies I have seen. There are
Mm-hmm.
two highly rewatchable films: Pulp
Mm-hmm.
Fiction and Kill Bill.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's mainly going to be those two. I mean, I do like other ones. I do like Reservoir Dogs, kind of. I like Inglorious Bastards a lot, but
Uh,
at the same time, I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I will say that not everything is as rewatchable as this one, and Kill Bill is definitely the most watchable one of those, just because of how well it leans into Grindhouse.
right, right. I think honestly, in almost every way, this film was intended for those Grindhouse fans. I mean, it says it
Mhm.
all right in that opening. Like, look, recognize this Grindhouse opening? That's because
Yeah.
this is exactly
No.
what you're about to get.
It is absolutely a love letter to the Shaw brothers, to all these classic martial arts films
Mhm.
that they made back in the 70s. Like everything is written all over it. And I think that love shines through. And I mean, your villain is David Carradine, Jang Kai Chang himself, like from Kung Fu. That is about as, blatant as you can get with that.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I didn't even think about until earlier this morning was I was honestly kind of surprised there was not any complaints about about there being white people in an otherwise Asian style movie. I like a lot of
Nobody
times
who's
there,
not Pai Mei anyway. Pai
right,
Mei's the
right.
only one I know with that.
Yeah, I don't I'm not I'm surprised that still works today with most of the backlash you get for anything like that anymore.
Yeah,
I think it's probably because it's done so well,
it's done really well, and also Tarantino just does not care.
right?
Like he's one of those guys who absolutely will push those buttons, and it's like, you know what? I'm just making a movie. You guys can go, f off with that. Like he just does not care.
Totally, and I'm with him there. I'm not.
Hmm.
It was not a concern. It was not necessarily a concern there. Just a
Hmm.
surprise. Uh,
Yeah,
it is so
I mean,
common nowadays, I guess.
Tarantino will drop the N word left and right. He really does not care.
I've heard him say that he does that specifically because I'm like, when he first started writing, I want to say
Mhm.
it was somebody in his family read his writing and saw all the uses of the N word and just the
Mhm.
racial slurs in general. And she was just appalled by it. Like, how can you write this stuff? He says, it's not me. This is just how they talk. But you'll notice that's how they talk in every single movie. There is not a Tarantino movie where that doesn't show up, except
Yeah.
Kill Bill, I think.
Kill Bill, I think, is an exception. And I think a lot of it is just because the bride is not that kind of character. She
Right?
is she is a basically a classic 70s style Shaolin monk style hero. With a bit of a modern twist, but that's about it.
There is one, and this is just a tiny little a gripe that I have that doesn't it doesn't at least it doesn't really make sense to me.
Sure.
Um, women can be very protective of their children. They are especially so when they're actually carrying the child in them.
Mhm.
If you're talking about somebody as badass as Beatrix Kiddo, how the hell did the Viper Squad not get their ass kicked the first time they tried to mess with her?
That is a very good question. But I think the problem is like this is kind of why Bill just took the entire squad in force. Because maybe she could beat each of them individually, but she beat them all at once with Bill there? I'm kind of doubting that.
Well,
especially when she was heavily pregnant.
I mean, okay. I suppose I just when they show the picture of the Viper Squad, there's not a cut, there's not a bruise. They don't even have their hair messed up. Like they beat her up and didn't even get a licking in. How is that possible with somebody as badass as Beatrix Kiddo?
Yeah, that's a fair question, and I would like you'd think she'd got a couple of shots off on
right at least.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is she was taken by surprise and just wasn't expecting it. You know, she didn't think Bill would do that to her.
I'm sure there was some shock in seeing her friends and the person she was about to marry get killed too.
Yeah. I just think I think it's kind of hard to justify. That's the best defense I got.
Right. We can go.
But it's like you kind of have to go with that because it sets up the whole movie. You really need the whole wedding rehearsal massacre. And I love the way they set up. It wasn't even a wedding; it was a wedding rehearsal.
Right.
Like with this whole Morricone music in the background. Dun, 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 dun. Right. You know, you just know that Tarantino loves playing with those classic spaghetti western tropes in the middle of his movies. That's the other thing that he keeps throwing through.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely see it from a story point of view that you have to have that inciting incident. It just they make her badass enough to take out the entire. Not that there was 88 of them. But she was able to take out the crazy 88 by herself. You know what I mean? Like that woman doesn't seem like somebody that could have gotten beat up by 15 people like that.
I mean, the other thing was, the only other thing I can think of is maybe she was out of practice because it had been a while. And she was busy like carrying the kid.
You know what? There is a story element with that. Actually, when Hattori Hanzo was going to make her sword, he said that he was going to. It would take him a month, and she had better spend that time practicing. That's actually right in there. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, that's the line I was thinking of. And also, it's like it kind of helps to being able to kill them when you have a sword that can cut God.
Right? That was a great line.
If you should ever meet God, God himself will be cut. And I was just like, that is so badass and so really brilliant. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of the mystical levels of martial arts that are in this movie is just absolutely brilliantly done. It feels like a whole world. It feels in many ways like what John Wick kind of started as, but was never really like developed until later. You know, that you can definitely tell like there was a whole world behind the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad. You see that there's a whole martial arts world where they just operate at this level and can just kill with impunity. I mean, all that stuff is just real. You know, the whole crime lord stuff in Japan. All of that just feels like a realized world. I mean, even though we don't really get to see a lot of it.
I think most of the more, I mean, well, there was fantastical elements in the previous fights. I think the more fantastical martial arts elements definitely came with Pai Mei. I mean, what the one screaming out at my mind right now is when she stuck her sword at him like this, and he's just standing on the end of it. Stuff like that. And his movements, that is classic, like martial arts mythology type of action. Yeah.
And I will say the whole thing where, Pai Mei plucks out El Driver's eye. And I kind of realized, and I didn't realize until rewatching it recently, that this is essentially a move that Beatrix had learned from Pai Mei, because we see in the House of Blue Leaves fight that she plucks out a dude's eye. And
Yep.
I'm like, she had to have picked that up from Pai Mei.
Well,
That's a signature thing.
You'll note. I guarantee you that you are correct. Pai Mei taught Beatrix Kiddo things that he didn't even teach Bill. He taught
Yes.
Beatrix Kiddo things that he didn't teach anybody.
Yes, because he respected her and he didn't respect anyone else, and he didn't respect Bill completely either.
I think that it was. I mean, you could tell that it was hard for her and that not saying something was difficult at times, but she maintained humility and respect through all the scenes you see with her. Whereas you notice with Elle Driver, she called him a miserable old bastard or something like that.
Miserable old fool was her words.
Yeah.
The dumbest word she could have ever have said to Pai Mei.
Right. Although, I mean, you want to talk about fantastical. I don't care how badass you are. You are not going to walk into the Shaolin Temple and beat every monk there. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pai Mei is on another level.
He is. He was. I'm just saying the more, and I liked his character. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying the more fantastical elements with their martial arts stuff seem to be all focused around him and things taught by him.
Yeah, and yeah, because they even deleted this one scene, which I really wish they had put back in, where Michael J. White, who plays the student of this person that Bill had killed, called Damoe, or Damo, as he's called, he basically goes and beats the crap out of him and his cohorts, like in no time flat at all, in front of Beatrix. And he seems like it's casual, and he does it with his Hanzo sword. And I kind of felt like that scene really needed to be in the movie, because you see there how tough Bill really is, how tough Pai Mei is in comparison to him, because Pai Mei had apparently given Bill a pretty rough go of it when he went down the mountain. It's kind of like implied that. So, and you know, Beatrix was his greatest student. I mean, very, very clearly, like he taught her everything. So it really kind of gives you a sense of like where everybody is in comparison with that. You know, in addition to showing like some other character complex elements that are really subtle in it.
If you want my opinion on why that was left out, I think that it was atmosphere. That whole scene was filmed. You know how they do English dubs over these old martial arts films. That movie was filmed and performed like an English dub martial arts film. So even how they were speaking to each other was in that exaggerated fashion and everything. And that I think while an interesting thing to watch, doesn't quite fit the vibe of Kill Bill. That almost seems to take something that seems to be taking rather seriously and almost put a joke to it or a mocking sense to it.
Yeah, I think it's just because of the voice dubbing, but I mean the actual fight,
it's the delivery.
Yeah. If they had used Michael J. White's actual voice, I think it might have been different. Yeah, that's fair. They were trying to make it sound like an old Shaw Brothers film. That's essentially the idea.
I think that it lost the feel of the film in the process. Had they just done that film normally, filmed that normally like the rest of the movie, or even absolutely it would have belonged in there. That would have been a great scene, because you need to establish Bill, and they never really did that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's where you really get to see who, you know, what Beatrix really is up against. And it's not just that Bill is a really good fighter, it's that he's sneaky. He is really, like the way that he killed the first dude, you know, just with that one shot of the little dagger that was stuck in the blade.
Right.
Like that was that kind of, and the way that he actually killed Damo, a student, you know, by just opening up the blade sheath and cutting him like with the bottom half of the blade.
Right.
Like
right.
that
that's how he killed Jai White, isn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
we needed to be able to see that is kind of my issue.
You know what my first thought was in seeing that scene with because there was a couple of times the guy used his where Bill used his sheath in an unusual way where he would just slide it out by doing this rather than pulling it out or in something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I guess my first thought is how many takes do you suppose those scenes took? The one with like where he just goes and like
yeah.
it's just.
And there was some creative editing done as well. I mean, you can definitely like tell that there was stuff that was like really painstakingly pieced together,
right,
to make a coherent fight scene. But it helps when you have a master like Yuen Wo-ping, who is best known for the Matrix films, doing your martial arts movie. Like nobody does martial arts like Yuen Wo-ping.
And a lot of credit has to be given to people, the fight coordinators like that. I mean, you watch action films and all this other kind of stuff, and you think about how badass this fight was, or how the action was all great. Let me tell you something. Sit down and try to write an action scene like that, and tell me if you can come up with one as good. The fact that these fight scenes are like this and are done just so beautifully is because we're talking about absolute masters at this craft. I don't want that to be looked over like, well, yeah, he coordinated the fight. That is a big deal.
Yes, it is. And I think the beautiful thing also is it's not just showing like, okay, this is a coherent fight, and you have moves going back and forth and whatnot. He's showing character through the martial arts, which is the way it should come across. You see that Beatrix is restrained at various times. She's kind of very, very reluctant to fight certain people. And at other times, you see a lot of her opponents that are just like going in and all in trying to kill her. And every character has a different fighting style. Sidewinder is very much reliant more on trickery, and El Driver is really kind of more Beatrix's opposite in every way. All these sort of elements. And then Oren is very drawn from Lady Snowblood, and that entire style. So every character has their own unique style, even if they end up, using Hanzo swords or whatnot.
I hadn't really considered the thing about El Driver being an opposite.
Yeah.
But now that I'm thinking about it,
she's a dark mirror. Absolutely.
Just as a style perspective, Beatrix fights with finesse.
Yes.
And El Driver is more about, aside from her sneaky ploy with the snake there, when she fights, it's more about brutality. It's about big one move finishes, and it's her moves are all strength, whereas Beatrix, it's fluid. It's speed that is doing the move. So those are absolute opposites.
Yeah,
in style there.
It's a style of somebody who has truly absorbed what Pai Mei had to teach, and somebody who is so arrogant that she didn't think that she needed what he had to offer.
Well, I think if you look back on it, I think you can see that one of El Driver's main characteristics is anger.
Yeah, she definitely has rage issues. Particularly, we see that with Bud, and I was really kind of thinking about, why are you getting mad because Bud used the snake thing on her? You tried to kill Beatrix in her sleep, and it took Bill to talk you out of this. And then I think I realized eventually what it was. It's like, she's mad because Bud stole her kill. She wanted to kill Beatrix herself in one-on-one combat with her to prove she was the better fighter and more worthy of Bill.
I can see that is a question that the movie doesn't necessarily answer outright.
Mhm.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it is doing
The
the work
only
of the
way I
movie.
can
I
make
totally
sense
agree.
of that is how Bill talked about, we did a bunch of terrible things to her and she still
Mhm.
lived. If she
Mhm.
ever wakes up, we'll do many more terrible things to her. But until
Mhm.
then, I'm wondering if that is not how she came to see it herself. That
She could have, but I find
he
it.
put her
I
in
doubt
line,
it.
but I think maybe, well, I just, because otherwise her being offended at how
Mhm.
she was dealt with
Yeah, that's
doesn't
why
make
I don't
sense.
think it. That's what. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and that's why I'm thinking it's not about the fact that he was underhanded. It was that he took something from her.
Oh, I see. So in either case, even if she killed her in her sleep, she just wanted to be the one that killed her.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. Nobody kills you but me. Yeah, that's the way I was reading it.
Okay. Well, that makes a bit more sense. Because yeah,
Mhm.
that always was kind of curious for me. I mean, how
Mhm.
does she's all like, "I'm gonna kill you in your sleep," and then how could you kill the greatest warrior? Like, all
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that definitely
Yeah.
makes more sense that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then I become the greatest warrior because I killed the greatest warrior I ever met.
Yes, yes. All right.
It's all about her. It's all about her.
She did seem, and I think this bit of character was very subtle, and you might miss it
Mhm.
if you're not paying attention to. Like I didn't even pick it up until now, but that when Bill tells Elle that I want to say that he says she's a good girl or she did well or something like that over the phone.
Mhm.
There was that little smile, like she was happy she had done well, she had impressed Bill.
Mhm. Yeah, Bill. Well, I mean, there's a reason Bill is called Snake Charmer. That's his
Right,
code name. He
right.
knows how to charm them. He knows how to charm them.
Certainly worked.
Hmm.
Why do you suppose though that Bud lied about his Atari Hanzo sword?
I think he was. I think he wanted to piss off Bill
Just to be a dick?
a little bit. I think the problem is that I think I get the feeling that Bud was one of the few people who truly regretted what they had to do to Beatrix.
Right.
Even that, he's not going to put it over his own survival, which is the reason why he did what he did. But I think ultimately he kind of felt like, you know what, this is not what I signed up for. This is I he had problems with it that kept him from continuing. And I think and Bill even kind of notes, you can be mad at me all you want, but she is going to come after you and she is going to kill you. So they both acknowledge that there is a beef between Bill and Bud, and I really think that it was the West massacre that was the catalyst. I can't think of anything else that could have done
That makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna just have to say I agree with that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, because he definitely does not seem happy, doing what he's doing, with that dive bar. And he could definitely get out of his situation any way he wants. I mean, he could sell his skills solo. I mean, he could have done any of those things, but no, he's just going to be okay being a bouncer in a bar,
I,
in
I
a
I
dive bar.
I would add to that. Notice out of all the people she went after, Bud was the only one who isolated himself in the freaking desert.
Hmm. Yeah. He
That
was
that
isolating. He was isolating himself from the Vipers. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was from the Vipers. I think it's what you're
From
talking
Bell. Yeah.
about. Where
From
no,
Bell.
I don't even think that was it. Bill could have came and found him at any moment, as we found out.
Hmm.
I
Sure.
think that he was guilt,
He's the
that
man.
he was broken by what he had by what he had done, and
Yes.
so almost as a penance or as a means of punishing himself for what he had done, he moved
Hmm.
to a crappy place in the middle of the desert and had a crappy job. And that's just how he lived his life. He gave up everything because that so crushed him.
Yeah. Yeah. And and yet he didn't want to admit that he still had the sword. Maybe not even to himself. Maybe he had completely buried like the fact that he even still had it, but he couldn't get rid of it because it was something that Bill had given him.
So that is a kind of a sign that while he may have a grudge against Bill, there was still love there.
Yeah, I mean, Bill is still his brother. That's not a tie that you can easily break. And I kind of feel like this is just him saying, acknowledging, yeah, I mean, you're still my brother, but I'm going to act as though the sword no longer exists to me.
I'm going to keep this sentimentally, but damn it, you're not going to know about it.
Yeah. He knew Bill was not going to like that. That's
right.
It's kind of like the way brothers just love to piss each other off. That I have an older brother. I know what it's like.
All right, I got a question for you now.
Sure.
Out of all of the revenge fights that we get to actually see in the film, my personal favorite is Oren Ishii by far.
I would agree with that.
And it not just because of the crazy 88. I particularly liked how, I mean, the whole mood changed when she stepped out back and fought Oren Ishii. I mean, that the whole thing with the little thing with the water where and you hear that that so set a mood.
They were leaning really hard into like a lot of the old Japanese martial arts films with that. Lady Snowblood again being like the most obvious example, because like the whole white sort of theme for Oren was definitely lifted from Lady Snowblood.
I see. Okay.
And so and I think that the way that it was framed, the lighting and all of that, like the little subtle details in the background, all of that is just very much Tarantino building off of the Japanese cinema that inspired him.
Nice. You almost it felt inevitable, like this line was just coming, but when she goes, that really was a Hattori Hanzo sword. I just love that moment. Of course, it's one of the more morbid moments in the movie, and I like that.
Yeah, and I will say, and I've been wondering about this, I kind of wonder whether Beatrix and Oren had been friends before the betrayal, because it seems like she had the most friendly sort of dialogue with Oren, like towards the end.
There was definitely, at the very least, at the absolute minimum, a mutual respect.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering whether or not they had been friends at one time, and then because of the betrayal, they became enemies, kind of by necessity.
Also, you'll notice that Oren didn't try to justify or excuse what she did or make it less than or anything. No. She went out there, she accepted with I'm going to say grace and dignity that what she's like, yes, I did this. I'm going to accept responsibility for this. This fight has to happen. And there was just like Vernita Green, for instance, spent the whole time trying to sneak out of it or get out of it in some fashion.
Yeah, and hiding behind the daughter. Oren didn't do any of that, and we'll say, and she even apologizes to Beatrix for insulting her. Like that definitely shows, like, okay, you've earned enough respect where I can say, okay, I was wrong, to make that remark.
Right. Honestly, that was pretty earned at that point. She's like, what do you know about playing with katana swords anyway? Silly white girl kind of idea. And then Beatrix is like, oh shit, you were serious about that.
and it's like Oren is like, it's really, really sensitive about anybody, going after her for her American or her Chinese heritage. To the point where she chopped a dude's head off for it in like one of the most spectacular fashion. Like, I just absolutely love that scene. But it's like, you're not being internally consistent. And I kind of wonder whether Oren kind of like that point, like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Right. Okay. You clearly got the skill. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That acknowledgement of skill said a lot about Oren.
Do we want to talk about the new animated scene that we saw regarding Oren, since we're on the subject of her?
Yeah, sure. I have to say, I like the Pretty Ricky scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is pretty cool. In fact, I'm gonna say that without that scene, the
Mm-hmm.
jumping straight from killing the leader to, and 20
That's
years
another
later,
area.
she's the greatest assassin in the world. It felt more earned after the Pretty Ricky scene.
Yeah, I think so, because you're seeing like, and I can understand why they cut it if it was for length. I presume it was for length, where they would say, okay, do you really need it the way that you need the other scenes in this movie? No, maybe not. But at the same time, I feel like it adds a lot more going in. It's more like a Lord of the Rings extended cut type of content, where it's like you definitely won't prefer watching it in. But it doesn't necessarily lose the momentum if you cut it.
I it just feels like too big of a jump for me without that in the
Yeah,
middle.
that's
Because
totally
you see her as a kid, then you see her a little bit older with Kill
good.
Pretty Ricky, and then 20 years later, going straight
Yeah.
from a kid to the best assassin in the world doesn't make
Yeah.
it. It's just too big of a jump for me.
Yeah, and yeah, that scene does establish like how that happened. So
Right?
that's why I'm saying I think it's more satisfying with it in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think that should have been. I don't think that should have been cut. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it was cut specifically, but I mean,
It probably was length, because I can't see another reason to cut it.
I do understand that Tarantino debated with the Weinstein brothers for quite a while over the cut of the film.
Yeah, and there was issues with censorship with the first movie, or at least the first half of the movie.
Right.
I'll just talk briefly about the House of Blue Leaves fight. I know we've talked about this previously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a whole portion of the fight that was filmed in black and white, and as originally it was colored. It was restored in the Whole Bloody Affair, which I'm kind of glad that they restored it. And it was just like one of those creative ways, basically, to get away with having all that blood in there because it wasn't red.
That's exactly why it was done that way. Honestly, watching the theatrical cut, the shift to black and white at that point, while I get while it was done, the experience of it feels like, let's throw a little bit of Archie stuff into this.
Yeah, I always kind of interpreted it as like essentially like somebody taking a hit and the whole fight going into a haze. At some point, like it's kind of hard to explain, but it's something like that. And it's being shown artistically. I tend to think that it's better just to play it as it was intended.
I do too.
Otherwise, you're having to come up with explanations for it.
And you know what? I mean, there is a lot of people don't talk about this, but there is a skill to getting stuff past the MPAA.
Yeah. And Tarantino knew all those tricks, and he applied many of them.
Yes. That crazy 88 fight was just burly. I mean, holy crap. I mean, that when I talk about Beatrix Kiddo fighting with finesse, that is the fight I'm thinking of. I mean, just spinning all around like this, rather than just direct. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. This is finesse with a masterclass blade, kind of as fighting. Yeah.
And this is kind of where Yuan Woping's fight choreography, I think, really, really comes through. She comes across as a whirling dervish of death.
Yeah,
and it is amazing to see, particularly there. And seeing her, pulling the eye technique, which I still can't believe I didn't realize she learned that from Pai Mei. That still kicks me in the head. But like those things and just little funny moments like, go back to your mother.
Yeah.
all these like little excerpts. It is one of the best fights in cinema history, I would say.
It's definitely up there. Uh I never really thought about it on a scale of cinema history, but it was definitely very cool. And it was a
Mhm.
lot better in color. Without, like I said, it was like in the middle of a fight, let's do something artsy, is what it felt like in the
Yeah.
theatrical cut. Seeing it all just in color felt very natural, and I enjoyed it a lot more. I mean, the
Mhm.
scene is meant to be gory. I mean, you notice the characters don't even bleed normally. They do that exaggerated spray kind of bleeding whenever anything happens.
They're throwing red paint up in the air, like when they behead people. It's just like that you can tell they're going over the top with it, but it's fun.
Exactly.
It's fun over the top, and that's
And
what
it
Tarantino wanted.
I mean, I'm not an expert because I haven't seen. It's not like I'm a Grindhouse fan as a general
Hmm.
rule, but
I'm not hugely either, but
I have seen a few of them, and there is that they use that sprayed blood
mhm.
rather than just a thing, and it is like okay, well. We're just going to ignore anything that talks about blood being too much to show, and we're just going to go over the top of it. It was like the Evil Dead of martial arts movies.
Yeah, I love Tarantino's quote on this. Whenever anybody tries to go after him for his violence, and it's like, yeah, well, you don't go to a Metallica concert and tell the effers to turn the music down.
Right?
It's exactly the same. You don't tell Tarantino to not be Tarantino.
I want to discuss this though.
Hmm.
Uh the extra scene with what was her name again? Kiko Rico
Pretty
the girl
Ricky, or you mean
no
You
and
Barn?
Yuki Barin. Yes, that
Yeah,
scene.
yeah. I kind of feel like I need to introduce this a little bit because there is context behind it.
Okay.
It was based on an actual part of a scene from the script that was like original that was cut out before it was filmed and was never filmed properly.
Hmm.
So what had happened is they were putting the bride into Fortnite, if I remember correctly, like not too long ago.
Okay.
And yeah, this was around the time when he was putting together this version of the movie. And they kind of decided, yeah, let's go and film it or create it in Unreal Engine 5, which is what video game engine that they use for games like this.
Okay. That explains
So
the look of it.
yeah, that explains the look of it. They had so this was after Karen Dean's death. So apparently Tarantino played the part of Bill, and that's why he sounds different.
Ah.
But it was Uma Thurman playing the bride again. So other than that, it was pretty much as you saw that. And this is kind of like why you see like characters in the background, like the guy who's dressed like a banana, and these two, like the Electra Girl and Dino Woman, like in that one house. They were all Fortnite characters.
The
The
dude
Skull
with the
Trooper.
banana just comes out with a shotgun. He's like, "Can we play? Can we play?" And she just gives him a look.
Yeah,
He's like, "Oh," and just goes
yeah.
back in.
So the reason why tonally it doesn't really match the live action movies
Right.
and all of that is because it actually is from a video game. It is a Fortnite tie-in sort of deal that they did.
It is important to note though that this
And
scene
I do
was
not like
only
Fortnite. I will say that right now.
this scene was only added to the theatrical cut.
Hmm.
Any home editions, any digital releases you have will not have this in it at all.
Yeah, and it
Also,
was added. It was added at the end, like like after the credits.
as I understand, it was right after, when they get to the end and they show that little outtake of her plucking that guy's eye
Hmm.
out. Apparently,
Yeah.
it started right after that.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, that's just what I read.
Yeah. The other thing that kind of bothered me about it, I mean, it does explain what happened to the pussy wagon, and so you can definitely tell where it fits in the
Right?
chronology. But the thing that bothered me is like the whole thing was gunplay, and I get why. It's because it's Fortnite. Fortnite is a shooter.
Right.
Like, got it. But to me, it is not Beatrix if she's not using martial arts or her Hanzo sword.
True enough.
Primarily.
Yeah. I can definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think here. This is a point I wanted to make, and this is something different about the whole bloody affair and the theatrical release. In Kill Bill Volume 1, it initially opens up with the Klingon proverb that
Yes.
Revenge is a dish that is best served cold, and they take that out of here to make a dedication to, I don't know, some Japanese guy I've never heard of, but
probably one of Tarantino's influences. I forget what exactly he made. I'll check on that.
Probably. I'm not an expert on really Japanese,
but
anything,
I will admit that I love the Wrath of Khan reference in the original.
I liked it. I liked it too, because whereas the dedication might be a dedication to stylistic aesthetics or something like that. The Klingon proverb "Revenge is a dish best served cold" actually fits the movie.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, Japanese director Kinji Fukasaku.
There you go.
Let's find out what he actually did. Okay. Fukasaku, yeah. All right, let's see. Okay. 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 So yeah. So broad range. Yeah. So I can see what he did. All right. Yeah. He started in 1961. So this is definitely like the era where Tarantino is drawing from. I don't really think I know any of these movies. Graveyard of Honor. Cross the Rubicon. Violent Panic: The Big Crash. Yakuza Graveyard. Things like that. The Fall of Akko Castle. Yeah. So yeah, those kinds of things. So basically, it looks like a lot of like Yakuza movies, samurai films, things of that nature.
Right. And I have zero issues with doing a shout out to a hero in the movie, but to replace something in the movie that actually adds to the spirit of it doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I feel like you're losing a lot of the cultural resonance, a lot of the thematic resonance in favor of an important influence. I wish he had been able to keep them both in some way. Like
that's
if
what I'm saying.
If he found a different way to put the Fugasaki acknowledgement in there, that would have been cool. Like maybe in the intermission that could have worked.
Right. Maybe I'm so particular about it because I'm a Trekkie, but I thought that as far as quotes go to open up a movie, that was perfect for Kill Bill.
I think it really shows a lot of personality, is my thinking. Like, you can definitely tell that Tarantino is a massive nerd. But also that but it's also a line that sums up, who the bride is. Like, the whole idea that, it's not, rationality I lack. It's mercy and
forgiveness and compassion.
Yeah, all of those things. Yeah,
that was a great line too.
Yeah, it isn't until later that starts to be opened up, and I would say like it's because of Bibi. Like that's kind of Bibi is like the source of her whole character arc, which I think is really great.
Oh yeah, and you know what? As far as acting performances go, and I don't know. I don't know if this might be as big as for other people, but when she wakes up and realizes that she has this huge scar across her belly, she realizes that she thinks her baby is likely dead. Her response to that, I really felt I felt it like a genuine response. Like she was digging into what would it be like if I lost my child sense right there. And I really thought she showed it in that scene. I felt
I
that.
don't know where Uma Thurman pulled it out of, but it feels very genuine. Like
Yeah.
it was a very powerful moment, like one of her most emotionally powerful moments in the entire movie.
Yeah, that kind of cracking scream. I've done that. I lost a child myself. So I mean, I guess maybe it taps into that experience for me, but that really
Yeah.
jumps out at me.
You're probably right. I think you have to have really gone through it, or at least be very close to that kind of experience to
Right.
really understand it and channel it the way that she did there.
Mm-hmm.
She channeled something really primal, though. I think that's very, very, very
well.
clear.
She does have a daughter.
Yeah, Maya Hawke.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I
Who
don't
could play the bride now? Actually,
right. So I mean, I don't. It
Mhm.
and this I am just speculating here, but I my guess is unless she's actually lost a child before, she tapped into that in a what would happen if I did.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
possible. It's very possible.
Either way, that was an inspired performance.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Uma Thurman is really good in the action role, and I think she is probably one of the premier like action heroines of movie history. But she's also a really, really just a good actress.
Mhm.
And having someone who's both, gives you somebody who is just really electrifying and fun to watch. Like even when she's being restrained, I mean, you see what's beneath the mask, the pain that's beneath the mask, and that's what makes her a human character in many ways.
Absolutely. I mean, damn. And honestly, I understand almost. When Bill said we have done terrible things to her and she still survived. I mean that. I guess I understood that. You know what I mean? Like we tried our damnedest to kill this woman and she lived anyway. I'm just gonna say the gods are probably stepping in here.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's that, and I think it's Bill like still loving her.
Right.
Like he just couldn't let go of her, not completely, even after what he had done to her. And I think he kind of felt like he owed her that. Like that's why he's saying, "Yeah, we owe her this." No, you owe her this, Bill. El Driver does not owe you this or this.
You know what? That probably that makes sense actually.
Yeah. There's just, I mean, that's the thing I love about this movie. Like, there is just so much. Like, if you really want to read between it, if you want to do the work of the movie, you can find a lot of stuff in it that's really subtle.
Yes. You know what I kept wondering. I know that a katana, at least I don't know if this is still the case, but I don't know what you guys know about forging, but you generally just fold metal on top of each other over and over and over again, and the more times you do this, the stronger the blade becomes. Katanas were at least at one time folded 1,000 times before the blade was finished. So I mean, you gotta imagine a Hattori Hanzo sword. If this is above that, I mean, we're talking 2,000-3,000. I mean, what are we talking about here?
That's a very good question. Well, I mean, it's like Hanzo does have access to modern smithing techniques in addition to ancient ones. So presumably, it's like he's building on the tradition of people like Masamune. And Masamune swords were of the 1,000 folded variety. So
as I recall,
building that today, who knows?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you would probably know more about this than I do. But as I recall, even in more ancient times, it did take about a month to make one of those swords.
Probably true. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'm just saying he seemed to whatever it was, he seemed to be able to do it in at least what I think is the amount of time it took. But I'm going off of an old memory of a documentary I watched on the History Channel.
I have no clear idea, but I think I'm willing to put it down to Hattori Hanzo doing his damnedest to make sure he made the best weapon that he could ever create.
Right.
Which he did, the sword that could cut God, because it's like he wants to give her a weapon that will succeed at killing Bill. and he did.
You know, in a way, his preparation, his making a sword that could cut God, shows what level of skill Bill has. It also reveals that Bill clearly held back once they finally fought.
Yeah. And here's another doing the work of the movie thing that I had come up with while experiencing this again. I really think that the reason why Hanzo did what he did was because he feels guilt at all the people that Bill had murdered with the sword he made.
It actually made me wonder, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I can picture something like this being the case, where when it comes to martial arts, the teacher is in essence responsible for the actions of their students.
Yeah, and that's something like you see a lot in Star Wars as well, because it draws from that tradition. Yeah, that's true.
Right. So I mean, I think that his obligation was more about and it's like she pointed out, a former student of yours, meaning this all hangs on you.
You have a very large obligation.
Yes.
Yeah. And he does, based on that. And this is another reason why I like the Damo scene a lot, because he kills like 4 of those people with his Hanzo sword. So you could say that Hattori Hanzo killed those people because he built the weapon.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure Hanzo sees it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I can certainly see that. Do you think that perhaps that, and this is really reaching here, but I almost, with you saying that, I almost want to go to that was perhaps even an inciting incident that went against Hattori Hanzo.
Yeah, it could very well be. I mean, ultimately, it is an act of atonement that he is doing. He breaks his oath because he feels that he is responsible. Right. Because her point that he has a large obligation resonated with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They completely, and I just think it's interesting that they completely misunderstood why he broke his oath. It's like, oh yeah, he still holds a grudge. No, it's not that he holds a grudge. It's that he holds a lot of weight for what you have done with his weapons.
They don't come out and say it. They don't come out and say why Hattori Hanzo quit.
Yeah. But I think clearly Bill was an inciting incident for that as well.
That could definitely be it. I mean, perhaps a mixture of his own actions. I have to believe that an oath like that had to have come with. I mean, sure, he felt responsible for Bill's actions, but I have to believe there was some death on his own. That he had some blood on his own hands, maybe that maybe he was regretting because of that, or that maybe Billy he had to do because of Bill or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like that has a lot to do with it. He didn't want to make any more weapons that would end up killing people and have that be on his conscience.
Right. Okay.
And Sonny Chiba plays it really, really well. I don't think we give him enough credit, but that is another classic, 70s star of grindhouse era cinema that is very well known for martial arts movies.
I have spent almost no time around Japanese people, so I don't know about that if this is the case. But have you noticed that every time in Kill Bill, one of them even gets remotely irritated, they have to yell. They have to forcefully yell and scream as a person. There's no just attempting to talk at all. It's just immediately.
Yeah. That is the intentional tradition he is drawing on. Yes. Yeah, those movies are like that.
I was like, wow. Just from 0 to 500. Like, okay.
It's not naturalistic at all. I mean, Tarantino can be very naturalistic when he wants to be. This is him evoking deliberately a classic style.
All right, so this is something that came from grindhouse movies. This instant rage yelling thing going on.
Yeah, it's from Asian movies. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, would grindhouse movies fall under the same thing as like an exploitation movie then?
They're closely related. I don't know the exact difference, but I mean, they're associated similarly.
Okay. Okay. I'm not familiar with a lot of
Yeah,
Grindhouse at all. So
it's just a particular style, and
okay.
it's complicated. I don't want to really get into it right
All right.
now. Any other thoughts or notes that you want to bring up?
uh no, I think that about covers it.
Okay. Well, we've spent almost an hour on this movie. That ought to
Yeah.
tell you like where it stands, like with I think both of us.
Yeah.
Like, because we really don't usually. We've been going like normally like 45 minutes. We went well past it.
Right.
So yeah, this is a movie where I really have no problems, going into it for 4 hours and then talking for another couple of hours about it. So,
Right.
but I think unless you have anything like you really want to get into, I think we can start getting into like what we would score it and how would you compare it to the original releases.
Well, I guess I'm gonna say that I think it is much better than the original release.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I do like the that it was split in two originally.
Yeah,
The movie itself, the whole bloody affair, is a better film,
yeah.
but I guess I like I like not necessarily having to sit there for over 4 hours to see it all. So like
Yes.
that's a fair chunk. Like I tried to watch it this morning after I did some stuff, and I was like, "This won't even finish before we're supposed to start." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
I had to watch it in chunks myself. I watched I watched some of it up to the intermission and then I came back to it and watched like the intermission on and it was fine. But
I
I
understand
completely understand that.
I understand in the theater they literally had an old school like 30-minute intermission in the middle of the movie.
Mm-hmm. And they
And
used to do this way back in the day.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I that on one hand, I almost wish they do that because I seem to always have to go to the bathroom right in the middle of a movie.
Yeah.
but
Usually a 4 hour movie.
yeah, but at the same time, I feel like an intermission in a movie messes up the flow. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You're on a pace. You're on a track here. Everything's flowing. Everything's going. Let's stop. Do nothing for 30 minutes, and you can
Mm-hmm.
jump back into it.
Yeah.
Why put it together if you're? I don't know. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have liked that in the theater. Is all I'm saying.
I get it, because he's trying to replicate the 70s theater experience.
Totally.
So I think I get what he's doing there. Does it work for modern audiences and the way we watch things now? Not so much, but I get it. Tarantino is pretty much the poster boy for I love the 70s. So
For sure.
I think that the whole bloody affair is the version that I would watch definitively from now on.
Uh-huh.
That having, and I will say, when I first watched these two movies, I was like, why aren't they one film? Like, I legitimately had that reaction. And the reason I had that reaction was because part two felt like a part two that should have been part of the previous film. It's just the way that it was made. It just felt like that way. And then it turns out that that's exactly what happened with part two, particularly when they added the whole I did my raging and my rampaging and I had my revenge, intro to the movie that kind of felt like, okay, this is definitely an intro meant to tack it on for people that didn't see the first movie. And why would you miss the first movie? But that's another question. But it just definitely had that flavor to it where it just felt like these were always meant to be one movie the entire time, and that's what it feels like structurally, and it's restored now, and that's good. That having been said, I do like some of the scenes they cut, even if I prefer it as one movie.
I think I might phrase that just a little bit differently. And
Okay.
I think this is where splitting it actually creates a flaw.
Sure. Go.
The first half of the movie is all action and revenge. The second half of the movie is the emotional impact of the first half. And so when you have all this action and all this going on in the first movie, you're like, yeah, you go back and then you get just the emotional second half. It feels like two different films without them together to pay that off.
Yeah. And this is why I think it's better as one movie. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are in agreement there. So what would you score this movie?
My heart says it's a 10.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that that's necessarily technically true. I'm just going to say 9.75 to cover my bases on this.
Okay.
I think separately I would probably go for 9.5, but as a whole, let's go for 9.75. But my heart says it's a 10.
Okay. I think that this is a niche film. You've got to be into this style, this homage to really enjoy it. And it's not like Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs, where I think almost anybody could watch it and get into it. You've got to be into this niche. And so because it has that more limited audience, and you've told me that we want to try to compare it to other films as well.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go maybe 9.5.
All right, that's absolutely okay. So that would put it 9.6 ish. Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No. Well, just check out Scorn and the Dread on Amazon. You can find them under Michael Nunley's account. Also, we got some ORP stuff coming up in the future, so that would be awesome.
Omen Revelation podcast. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Scorn as well as stuff that I got on the pipe for Revelations. If you're interested in the stuff we're writing, and yeah, we'll let you know when that's going to hit. So until next time, I guess that'll be goodbye to the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad. This is a great movie. Absolutely see it. Absolutely see The Bloody Affair if you have not seen that version yet.
Yeah.
And until next time, peace out.